Welcome to the Been There, Sold That podcast, where you can take away sales and business tips to grow your business efficiently, effectively, and profitably. Take it away, Brianna Henley and Phil Whitebloom.
Hey, Brianna, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing today, Phil?
I'm doing great, and I know you have tons going on, and we won't get into all that here because we will run out of time. But there is somebody else who I see in our little boxes here. Who
Yeah,
would that be?
we've got MJ James. She is the author of, let's see if you can see it, Heal the Hustle, a
Oh,
fantastic book for those overachieving moms, wives, daughters. I could keep going. And for a way for them to release the burnout and get back to a place and space of joy and peace. Did I
That's it.
summarize
That's
that enough?
exactly it. Did a great job. Thank you,
All right, cool. Well, it was a great book.
guys.
So,
there you go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
and I truly appreciate it. I've been sharing it with all of my friends because I feel like I'm of the age where, you know, moms are just, they're trying to handle their career, they're trying to handle their parents, they're trying to handle their kids. And I say trying to handle, that's exactly what the word is. They're trying to
Yeah.
handle. And some are doing it great and some are not doing it so great. So anyway, so that's why I wanted to have you on this podcast so you can talk to other women who are sitting, and men too, that are sitting in that same place and space that they can figure some things out. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yeah, we are happy you are here. And in full disclosure, MJ is not a new person to Brianna and myself. We've all known each other for at least a couple of years. As Brianna said, we're really excited to have you here. So could you tell everybody a little bit about your journey and from your business and your books and everything else that's related to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's see. Right before COVID, I was the CEO of a small business. It was a couple that I love very dearly. I still consult for them. I love them very much. They had a hardware store. They had 4 hardware stores. And going into COVID with that situation in Pennsylvania was wild. We were considered essential, and I felt like there was a lot of mass changes coming down almost on a daily basis for us, on a weekly basis for like, it was constantly changing. There was a lot we were juggling, and the job itself was not stressful, but I wore stress like a badge of armor. And so I went through that season already wearing stress, and then it went into an actual stressful season. And a couple months in, I was just exhausted. So sat with my husband, and he was like, you always wanted to write. And I was like, this is not the time now. Like, calm down. I'm on my go, go, go mode, right? He really encouraged me to like put in my notice for my job and give writing a change, like a chance. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
So I started ghostwriting, like announced it. I signed a couple of clients, and then I just left my job and started writing. And I really, really loved it, but it wasn't quite the right fit for my family. Ghostwriting takes a lot of quiet time in a separate space. And I homeschool my kids, so it wasn't exactly the right fit. So I kept playing around with it, and I kind of evolved my business. I handle a lot more publishing side of things. But through that all, I've always had my hand in a lot of other things. We have another business that we run as a family. We're super entrepreneurial. And I found that even though I had calmed down a lot of things in my life, I wore stress. Like I was like addicted to stress. I didn't know how to sit down straight, like sit down, everybody be like, you got to relax. And I was like, I don't do that word. MJ and that word are not friends. We don't do that.
There's
So
always something to do, right?
that's
Always
right.
something to do.
Yeah. I was so proud of my never ending to-do list, which also made me feel incredibly unaccomplished because it never ended. I never checked all the boxes off. It never got complete. So there was a lot of transitioning that happened, and I just started reading a lot of different things. I realized I was super burned out, and I just set on a path to completely change my lifestyle, which I did over the last few years. So that's what this book is. It's all the things I learned so that it can help other people is what I wanted to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 3. My oldest will be 21 in October. My middle daughter will be 18 in October, and my youngest is 13 now.
Okay. So they're spread
Yeah,
along. Yeah, you've got a good
there's a good gap. Yeah,
great cap.
absolutely.
From your book, what could you tell our listeners and our viewers that they're going to gain from your book? Is there a story that you want to relate from your book without giving away the whole book?
I mean, I definitely do deep dive into my own personal burnout journey. And what I find is I'm talking to people and I spent years researching this because let me see, I probably finished recovering from burnout, and then researched for like another almost 4 years to hear stories and to see if my story matched what other people were dealing with, and if the way that I overcame burnout was something that could be replicated for other people, right? Was it just specific to me, or was it useful to other people? Because my burnout wasn't just work burnout, it was complete life burnout. There's a ton of resources out there for people who are burned out with work, right? That's kind of an easy fix. You figure out if that's really what you want to be doing. Maybe you need to change leadership. Maybe you have to change the company, right? So that's kind of an easier fix than when you're burnt out by your life, because your life is really the habits that you've cultivated over a long period of time that it's really hard to fine tooth comb that when there's kids inside and there's parents to, help out with, and you're juggling the things. So I don't know that there's one specific story so much as I'm really vulnerable in this book, and I share just I deep dive into a lot of the hard things that I was dealing with, because through my conversations, through the market research I did for it, those are all the same things people are feeling. They're feeling anxiety, they're feeling fear, they're feeling panic. They don't know, literally when they sit still, their body has physical fight or flight reactions that they don't know how to undo. And they're not feeling productive, although that's like their biggest quest, right? We all operate from a place of wanting to crush it every day. So those are kind of things, like themes that I hit through it. And then I gave really small, like bite-sized ways to get through that in a healthy way, so that each step can be an intentional step forward, and that you can sustain a more peace-filled lifestyle. Even though there's still stress associated with it, your reactions aren't the same.
Yeah. What did you find was maybe not rock bottom, but that last thing, like what was kind of leading you down to the bottom that you're like, oh, I have to do something. I don't have a choice now.
I literally sat, I remember, and I share this in the book too, but I was sitting in the car because I just left the doctor's office. I was in my early 30s, and she had already bumped I was on blood pressure medication. I was it was not good. So she was like, I'm going to bump this again, but I would like to know, I want you to give me your husband's information. And I was like, why? And she was like, because I'm pretty sure you're going to drop dead of a heart attack soon. Like, she was so honest with me. Now, we had conversations leading up to that, right? She was like, try yoga, you got to calm down, change your job, blah, like giving me all the tools. And I was like, yeah, okay, lady. But I didn't listen. And so it was that moment where she was like, I am literally I'm going to have to call your husband. Like, that's what's going to happen. You're going to end up in the emergency room dead, or they're going to be trying to save you. And I was like, what? And she was like, you're triple digits over triple digits. Calm down. And I was like, what? So I remember going to the car and sitting in the car, and I was like stress sweating inside the car, realizing that all of a sudden my world looked really, really small. And all of these things that I was doing that I thought I was handling really well, it was like that moment of, oh my gosh, my kids could really be left without a mom. My husband could be left without a wife. Like, everything I'm trying to help with my parents, like, it all could fall apart if I fall apart. And that was the moment where I started to realize that something had to change, although I really couldn't understand how to put those in place and also not change my life too much, right? Because that was what my thought process was. It was kind of just like, well, how do I give a band-aid to this situation and fix it so that I'm okay, but I still want to do the job that I enjoy and be in all the places. And at that point, I was like the president of our Chamber of Commerce, and I was an executive director I had like 4 full-time jobs that I was really managing all at once. It was way, way too many things, all great things, all wonderful opportunities. But so I felt that pressure of, this is the moment where if I don't figure out how to change my life, this could alter my family forever. Like, I might not even get the opportunity to change. And so I went home And that weekend just really thought about what that picture looked like. And I stumbled around for a long time because I couldn't find the right tools or the pathway to help me really move the needle forward while still being true to the person that I was. So that was a really difficult time for me, but I do share that too.
How does somebody recognize when they have burnout as opposed to just having too many things going on, too many obligations, being a workaholic and
Mm.
everything else, because they could be thriving potentially on being a workaholic and having all these things going on and trying to succeed at all these things and stress because of that, which is different than burnout, right? So,
Yeah,
how does somebody recognize their own situation if it is burnout as opposed to one of these other things?
sure. I think there's a lot of things that we ignore and that we chalk up. Like, so one, if you sit down for a few minutes in quiet and it makes you wildly uncomfortable, you probably have a problem, right? There's
Yeah.
probably some things wrong. Like I would have full-blown panic attacks because I tried to sit still for 5 minutes. Because in my head would race so much with the things I had to get done, or as I thought about it, a much better use of my time than giving myself the opportunity to sit still. So sitting still for a short period of time, if it makes you wildly uncomfortable like that, if you have a fight or flight response, you probably have a problem. If you're starting to have health, like real health issues, right? Are you starting to all of a sudden have like flutters, heart flutters? Are you starting to get chronic headaches? Is your body physically starting to hurt? Um, is your blood pressure up there? Like things like that. There are certain things that start to happen with your body that are not your normal things, right? Because some people do thrive under pressure, right? They love a good deadline. It gets them excited. So that little bit of stress, they wear it in a healthy way. And that's okay. There's ways to do that. But if your body is physically having fight or flight responses and you are starting to show some like medical issues that you're ignoring, that the doctors may be hinting at, that you're just like, I'll worry about that later. That's probably a good sign. And the other thing is just never feeling rested, right? If you take that weekend off and you find that all you're doing is binge watching TV to like numb out, if you're going on those vacations that you should be able to rest on and getting home and still feeling exhausted, again, probably a big sign that there's a much deeper issue than some stress happening. That's probably a burnout situation.
Yeah, I remember when I was reading the book, one of the things that resonated with me was I had numbness on the side of my face. And I said to my husband, we just got back from the gym, and I'm like, hey, by the way, my face is kind of feeling weird. It feels a little numb, like I can't feel it. He's like, we're going to the emergency room right now.
Yeah.
And they ended up keeping me overnight. My blood pressure dropped. All kinds of things happened. Went to a neurologist. Like they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Went to a neurologist, and I'm sitting in the room with the neurologist because there were a couple spots in my brain. And my phone is just like beep, buzz, buzz, ring. And I'm sitting there like normal, totally ignoring it. And he's like, what's going on over here? What is all this? I'm like, oh, well, it's, I've got my company. I've got, I'm doing this job and doing this. He's like, this is extremely stressful. You need to figure this out because I have a feeling that's what's going on over here. And it didn't even dawn on me. I mean, it did because I was stressed out. I'm like, this has got to change. Something's got to change. But I didn't know how because life was good. Money was coming in. Like I, I've got everything that I need.
Right.
Why would I change anything? I'm happy most days. Like everything is good. So I think I can handle it most of the time. There's
Right.
sometimes I can't, but then, then that pressure, that adrenaline kicks in. But I think it was to the point to where it was too much adrenaline too often, and it was getting to the point to where it was just wearing me down. And
Absolutely.
it showed up differently in my body. So when I was reading this book, I'm like, yup,
Yeah.
totally happened to me. And
It's a
I love that you said this, what you just said, and I wrote down, I might not get the opportunity to change. Like having that realization that if I don't do something now, that I might not be able to do something later because I've just gotten myself, my body, my mind, my health into a place that isn't good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Like I found through my journey, when I slowed down with some things and just put the right tools in place for the lifestyle I wanted, I'm wildly more productive now. Like I could not, if I go back 10 years, I couldn't have run two businesses the way I'm running two businesses for my family now. There would have been absolutely no way. Like I would have been in the hospital with that heart attack. Now I'm just like, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. I have all my things in place that I need to keep my lifestyle stable. And that's it. I protect it. Like I super protect it.
And that piece is huge. And I feel like business owners specifically, because we have this idea that we're supposed to be running 100 miles an hour. We got to get this business up. I should be working all the time. I should be doing all this stuff. We lose sight of the priorities and making that the priorities the one thing that you should be focused, whatever that one thing is for you, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's training your team, whether it's focused on your finances, whatever it is, we allow everything else to hop in. Like you were saying, you're the executive director, you're the chamber of commerce person, you're running all these companies, then you've got this and then you've got that. And we forget that if you're not doing the things that matter well, it's going to suffer. Things are going to fall apart. So being able to prioritize and really focus in on what is this thing for this that is my priority. What about for the family that's my priority? And if you're keeping your priorities or your rocks, is some, the Rockefeller habits, that if you're keeping your rocks in mind and in focus, then you can't go wrong. It's when you let the little pebbles and the little sand and everything else get in the way. So it's really paying attention and focusing. And that's a lot with time management. And it's really, I feel like, focusing in on your goals. Don't be a people pleaser and say yes to everybody. Even if somebody else isn't stepping up, doesn't mean it's your responsibility to do it. That's something I have.
So MJ, related to exactly what Brianna's talking about and to another book that I just listened to called Relentless, I want to relate this back to what you're talking about. And so anybody can make a change for a day, right? Yeah. Oh, I recognize all this. I'm going to change for a day. And then you fall back into it, or you just get lost in the goo. Okay. So, and that would be me. That's what happens is you get so much going on because, as the two of you know, I can't do anything halfway. So I'm either too spread out or whatever, trying to pull it all back together, right? But you have successfully managed your way out of this situation, but it didn't happen in 12 hours, right? It took at least 12 and a half hours.
For MJ, it was 13.
So, and speaking of MJ, like Michael Jordan in this case, who is talked a lot about in the book and stuff like that, he had a very strict thing that he did every single day, and it never wavered. And so, how do you coach people and recommend people from through your book, whatever, to make this adjustment? Because it is just not like a stop and then to do these other things, because that's just too big a brain shift. I mean, your forehead would blow off, right? That's my question. How do you do this over and do the short-term thing and instantaneously, but then maintain it and be happy?
Yeah. I mean, in the book, I lay out a 5-step system. All the 5 steps together are for actual burnout recovery. But then once you get through the recovery, there's a different way that you operate. So the 5 steps that I lay out is rest, recognizing burnout, you review your habits, you reshape your negatives, and then you revitalize with action. That stuff should take you a long time. If you think you're going to do it in 15 minutes or you're going to get through it in a month on your little month sabbatical, not going to happen. That's an unrealistic expectation. And it's a Band-Aid if you get through it that quickly, right? Because what you're looking for is to look at the rhythm of your lifestyle for the season of life that you're in, right? Because my rhythm while my children are home is going to be very different than my rhythm when all my children leave. And now I have all these hours to fill, right? So it's different. So you have to really think about what lights you up? What's your thing? What do you want to do with your time? How do you want to spend this big, beautiful life you have, right? So you have to look at those things, but it takes time. And I'll tell you, the first step and the last step And the step that lets you sustain is rest. Always rest.
Interesting.
Every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, how am I working rest into my day? How
Oh.
do I work rest into my weekend? How am I working rest into my month? How am I working rest into our lifestyle? Like, it is a constant goal of mine to make sure that I give myself the space to rest.
Rest is not,
Non-negotiable.
well,
not-
yeah, non-negotiable now, and it's not an obstacle. So I look at, I'm tired at night. I wish I had more time at night because I have time at night, but I'm exhausted at night.
Right.
And so then I get up in the morning and then I'm faced with all this other stuff. And how many of you out there are listening are doing the same thing? And, I'm not a youngster anymore, age-wise, health-wise, I think I am getting there, going backwards. It's a good thing. So with you and with what you say, did you do all this on your own, or did you have help from those around you? Another great book, Who Not How, right? So you've mentioned the hows. Do you need who's, or could you do this
I
by
think
yourself, all by yourself?
I mean, if you're working through my book, it gives you a lot of the tools, and it does recommend other tools, and you definitely need support as you're doing it. And the support looks different for every person because it depends on what your personal habits are, right? Because our habits keep us in burnout. And some of those habits are good ones. Like, my work ethic is a good habit. I don't necessarily want to change that. I don't want to stop having good work ethic. I just need to put some proper boundaries in place for it so that it stays on the healthy side and versus the unhealthy side. So you do need support as you're recovering. And understanding, like, rest. There's 7 different types of rest we're supposed to get. We're not talking about a nap or sleeping. There are 7 different types of rest, right? Like, it's
Tell me about these
all of
rests.
them, all the rests. Okay, so the rests are emotional, physical, creative, mental, spiritual, social, and sensory.
Oh,
There is so like myself, I'm a writer. I work with authors all the time. I write 90% of my day. The biggest piece of rest I need is creative rest.
mm-hmm.
Right? Because I'm going to get my 8 hours of sleep tonight, and I'm going to take a nap on Sundays because that's what I like to do. But I need creative rest. So for me, that means I need to go take a paint class. I need to go, listen to some different types of music that stimulate my brain differently. I need to go and immerse myself in other creative ways in order to recover my creative rest, right? And those ways can't be me sitting at a computer writing, because that's how I spend most of my time. I have to recover that part, right? So if you're, let's say, one of my sisters used to run a nightclub years ago in Manhattan. So the way she needed to rest was sensory rest, right? Because when you're in there all night and the music and the lights and the people, it's loud, right? It's really loud. So her rest needed to be the complete opposite of that. Super quiet time in nature, like breathing, outside with the trees or at the ocean. So it's very important to understand the types of rest we need and how to work that in. And no, it doesn't always mean we need vacations, although I'm a big supporter of vacations, guys. But I'm just saying, like, you want ways to work 5 minutes of this into your day, because ultimately it will make you more productive. Your brain
Right.
rests easier, right?
But I love this. I think this is my personal biggest takeaway. And you had a lot of stuff that could be takeaways. The thing that I love about this, and I'm glad you mentioned vacations, because vacations are not what you're talking about. Because a vacation is a moment in time. Even if you're gone for 2 weeks, how
Yeah.
much of that vacation is you thinking about? Are you thinking about what you're not getting done? Or are you sneaking away and on your cell phone or on a laptop, right? So go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
and on vacation, especially if you go somewhere like Disney World, or you went to Iceland. Was it Iceland or
Yeah.
Greenland?
I went to Iceland.
You were going the entire time because you wanted to see so much, soak so much in, and you guys were walking and climbing. And I mean, when we go on vacation, vacation is what can I, almost like, what can I consume with my
Yeah.
eyes, my ears, my mouth, my senses? It's kind of like bring it all in because you spent all this money, you're away from your normal life. How can I make the most out of this experience? So
And by the way, I loved every minute of that Iceland, but you're right. It's always going. And
Yeah. It's not
but
restful.
I wasn't thinking about work. I didn't have time.
no, and we've learned that with our family. So I love that you said that, because we went to, when our family first got together, we're a blended family. When we first got together, we went out to California. And when we went out to California, we had something planned every day. We were going to a different beach. We were working our way up the coast from San Diego up to LA. Ultimate stop was Walt Disney World. And we had something every single day. And our kids were absolutely exhausted. Exhausted. So we have found that when we go on vacation, we're going to go to a place and we're going to have three things that we do that week. And in between those three things, we're just going to be hanging out at the beach doing nothing because that's what our family likes to do. That's how we recharge. That's how everybody can get along. Of course, it took us 5 years to figure this out, but we finally figured it out. And you're right, it does take time. It takes time for you to figure out kind of where's that harmony, where's that, I want to say balance, but I think it's more harmony. Where's that harmony where you can figure out that rest, see the things that you want to see, and have it be a wonderful experience. So you go back revitalized and renewed and refreshed. And I love that you said even those 5 minutes, those creative things, if it's going outside, walking on the grass in your bare feet, right? Haven't you heard that before?
I do that all the time.
Yeah, well, I do too because I'm always on my bare feet. So being able to kind of like reconnect with nature and do those things and being intentional and purposeful in doing that. And I know Phil, he has so many hobbies. It's insane. So what have you decided to do? So this is something that he's done that's new. What have you decided to do, Phil, to create more rest and kind of reconnection in your life?
Well, I'm forcing myself back into my two primary hobbies. Fortunately, they're both a bit weather related, and you can't do anything about that. So that the timing, but the astronomy one is both daytime and nighttime for me. So because I'm a solar astronomer and I also like the nighttime stuff. So once again, it's the weather, the nature photography. I have to make time to go out and do that. And there it doesn't matter if it's cloudy because I don't need to see above the clouds like I do for the other two, but not for this one. So that's what I'm trying to force that time in to do. But I really like this concept of rest and how you define that. And Brianna, you also have one or two too many things going on at once. But yeah, and you are highly educating yourself, which I say as a compliment. And and she shares with me constantly. I mean, like, and in a sharing way, and also in a directive way, like my coach, because she is. And she's telling me, you got to do this, you got to do that. She's not asking me, she's not suggesting, she's telling me, and it's great because I listen because I know it works, and that's why we work so well together for so long now. So from that standpoint, and MJ, we could talk with you forever. And we have some time offline coming up in about a week to do that.
Yes,
So,
we do.
so what I'd like to ask you to say two things here is, one is what's your piece of advice for everybody as you exit this interview today? But I do want to point out that for your authoring services, you do work for me, and MJ's not in my book where I thank people. MJ's not in there because her efforts came after the book was done. So when I update the version at some point, or when the next book comes out, MJ will be certainly thanked in there. But could you share with everybody what your business is related to your
Sure.
book service, and promote and tell everybody where they could get a hold of your book?
Absolutely. So my services, I do self-publishing services. I help regular people become authors. There's a lot of background stuff. It will take a lot of hours for you to figure that out. I make it super easy and sleek and a clean process for you. So I really enjoy providing those services. And I loved working with you, Phil. You were awesome.
Thank you. And we're still working together.
Still working together.
I have to tell everybody that MJ does not panic. It's incredible because she knows what she's talking about. And when things came back, because after you've done everything it takes to write a book, and if you're doing it right, there's quite a bit, no pun intended, doing it right. Anyways, so, Amazon and could come back and say, hey, there's this thing's going on and we can't print your books because of this, and this. And I was like, and I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my God. And MJ says, no problem. She sends one email to one of our other colleagues, and literally within minutes, it was all fixed and done. And it was like, but if you're doing it on your own, it's not going to be pretty because you can make it worse and worse and worse instead of improving it, right? So MJ takes care of all that. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And I do appreciate when clients come to me before they've made the mess
Right.
rather than after they've made the mess.
Right.
After they've made the mess, it's a little harder to figure it out. But before they made the mess, that's easy stuff.
Right.
So when would somebody come to you? So if so talk to me about if I'm thinking about writing a book, when do I say, oh my gosh, I got to reach out to MJ so I can make sure it's a seamless and easy process?
I mean, it depends on how much work you want me involved in, because I can do everything from project manage, which means you're in the middle of writing your book and you're just not sure what happens next, and you want somebody's professional eyes on it to take it all the way through publishing, so I can get involved at that point. And that's my highest service. And then it kind of goes down from there. So if you just wanted somebody to literally, you're like, here, I have a whole manuscript. It's all done. It's been edited, proofread. I got the book cover. I'm in love with it. I just need you to get it up in all the places. I can do that as well. So it depends on where you are in the process and how much you actually want to do yourself. If you want to do a lot more work yourself, I get involved almost at the point where you're ready to publish that book. But I would usually say at least you want at least a 3-month leeway before, so like the final point that I can get involved. If you're like, I want to publish, in November, you probably want to call me now so that you can get on my calendar so we can talk through the things and make sure
It's June. So this was recorded in June. So just for a little frame of reference. Yes.
Yeah. We won't start to work together until closer, but you'll want to contact me so I can tell you this is all the stuff I'm going to need. And you have time to get that together then.
And that was a great lead in. So how do people find out about your book and get a hold of your book, and how do people contact you?
Absolutely. So my book is on, of course, Amazon and all the places. Heal the Hustle. You can check it out. It's everywhere. And you can go to my website, mjjames.com. The book's also on there, along with a list of all my, publishing services are there, and coaching services. It's all there. Yeah.
Right. And for those of you who are listening, wherever you're listening on, down in the notes that go with it, all this information right there for you.
Yep.
There's also a types of rest cheat sheet I have under my resources page. In case anybody wants to check that out and have a little cheat sheet for the types of rest they can work really quickly, 5 minutes a day, right into their day. It'd be super helpful. So you can check that out too. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. This was wonderful. I love chatting with you guys.
We love chatting with you, and you solidified again how important rest is. These are things that Phil and I talk about. We just had this conversation. This is actually just what we had before you popped on. So thank you so much I love all that you do on the professional book writing side and the words of wisdom. And this was an awesome interview. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Phil.
And until next time. Oh, by the way, we almost forgot. If you want to get hold of me or Brianna, go see MJ. You had us so thrown off. Just go to beentheresoldthat.com and you could get both of us together individually, find out what's going on. We love hearing from you, and we look forward to your comments and everything else. So until next time, good selling.
Take care, everyone.